Hello guys. There's a lot of things that I have a lot of feelings about. But one of them that I feel like I haven't expressed that much maybe, baseball. And more importantly, the Yankees. Um so yeah, I'm a big Yankee fan. My whole family is. Well, I actually have some Red Sox fans in my family, but that's for another video if you want me to get into that. So what happened was yesterday I got to go to the last home game of the season, and not only that, but it was the last home game for Mariano Rivera and for Andy Pettitte, who are both retiring. So it was a very big day. So what happened was basically I'm um like I can't even. I just tried filming it twice on my camera, and I didn't have enough room because I was just talking too much. Like I didn't get out everything I wanted to. So that's why I'm doing it on here. So enjoy. Um, so what happened was, my parents and I left the house yesterday at like 12:30 to go pick up my brother from school first, and then we left for the game. And we made pretty good time. We got down there at like 4. I think we were pulling into this like concourse like shopping area type thing. We've parked there before, so my dad knew where we were going. Um, and we get there, and we gave ourselves a lot of time because the game didn't start till 7. So my dad was like, okay, good. We're like right on schedule because my dad was like, I want to get there early. Like he has had this planned out. I don't know how long because I think Mariano announced his retirement in like, was it during spring training? Like in February or March or, some earlier part of the year. So I feel like my dad has had this planned almost as long because he was like, okay, he's retiring. Let's go to the last home game of the season. So we'll see him pitch for the last time at Yankee Stadium. So that was my dad's plan, and we're like, good idea, I'm down. So then we stopped at Burger King because actually we're like a couple blocks away from the stadium where we parked. So we were walking downhill kind of. We stopped at Burger King, ate something, and then we were getting to the stadium because the stadium gates didn't open till like 5:05, which is like 2 hours before the game. So we were kind of taking our time, whatever, just hanging out. Um, and as we're waiting for the gates to open, they have all like the vendors out there with the T-shirts and hats and all that fun stuff. Sorry, I'm just trying to look for my hat. I don't know if I have it out here, if it's in the closet. Um, but and my dad sees that they have these pins for like $10, and we all have a couple pins at least, of the Yankees or just of anything. And my dad's like, "Oh, that one's nice," and I'm standing right next to him. I'm like, "Oh yeah, that one. I like that one too." So since they're only $10, which is a pretty good deal, I mean, my dad bought them. So here's my pin. I'm gonna, excuse me, I'm gonna add it to my hat because I have like 3 other pins on my hat. I don't know why I'm burping. I'm sorry. Or I have the hiccups. I was there, Mariano Rivera's final home game. So that's really cool. Um, and I mean, I was wearing like a jersey, and then I had my Swisher shirt, and I was wearing a tank top underneath that, and I had a sweatshirt with me because I mean, wanted to look good, wanted to support the team, and I knew it was gonna get a little chillier, so I was prepared. I was layered up. I stayed nice and comfy too, so it worked out great for me. And I had my pin on, of course. It was fabulous. Um, so yeah, and I mean, we waited a little bit, then we got in the stadium. My dad was looking around for batteries, so I know we stopped a couple times at a couple of the like little shops and like asked if they had batteries, but they didn't have any, so he didn't really get to take pictures. Um, he was videotaping a lot though. So we got to our seats, and so yeah, my dad's thing was he wanted to get there for batting practice. So of course we get there, and the Rays are batting, and we're like, oh okay, because usually that's how they do it. They have the other team bat first, and then the Yankees will bat. So we're like, all right, and they're hitting balls everywhere, and we're watching everybody try and catch them. It's amusing. They hit a couple like over in our section. There was actually one where okay, I see it coming towards us, and I'm like, oh okay, and I'm looking, and I can tell that I'm like, oh okay, it's gonna be over my head, like at least a little bit. So I'm like reaching up, and it goes like 3 or 4 rows behind me, and the guy, I think he tried to catch it like barehanded, which it sounds like that only louder, and it probably hurts more than this does. So I don't recommend it. I didn't do it, but I'm just saying, like, it just sounds painful. Don't do it if you don't have to. If you need to defend somebody, then do it. Go for it. But yeah, and of course my parents were yelling at me. They're like, "Why didn't you jump? What's wrong with you?" But it was also a Rays player, so I'm like, whoop-de-doo, who cares? If it was Cano, I would have been all over it. If it was somebody else on the Yankees, I would have been all over it. Um, so yeah, but then the disappointing thing is that the Yankees didn't even hit. And it must have been because they had an interview with Mariano, we could tell, because we were out in left field, like center left. We were in like left center, kind of. And we're looking out at the Yankees dugout, and we see they have like chairs set up, and they have like cameras with the lights right there. So they interviewed him. So once the Rays were done with batting practice, they cleaned that up, and they did the interview. So, and plus we could see like a crowd of people in the stands with signs saying "We love Mo," in the background. And plus they saw him right there, so they were like Mo, Mo. So it was really cool. Um, let's see what else. And then we waited a little bit, and the game started. The game, I mean, how many double plays do we had? Oh, the other thing that I did was my dad bought a program, which we usually don't get them. I know we got one like my first Yankee game I went to ever. I mean, it was $10, but this is a very special one because it's about Mo, and it has like all these extra pages and articles about him, and it has a poster of him, of course, because in every issue they have a poster. There you go. Um, but my dad's like, why not? It's a special occasion. Go for it. See, we're just splurging on a lot of things. And they also have the scorecard in every single one. So for the first time in almost 10 years, I was doing the scorecard. And, oh, you can't even see it. There's too much glare. But yeah, so that's what I was doing for the whole game. It was very interesting. It's very simple. If you know how baseball works, then you can do it, no problem. Like, it's just kind of remembering, like, what position is what number and, like, writing it down and all this fun stuff. So, we had quite a bit of double plays for both teams. Like, I remember, like, writing it down. Like, once we were in, like, the third inning, I think we had, like, 2 double plays at least, if not 3. And I was like, wow, that's kind of a lot. For, like, the first couple innings, I thought it was weird. There was not a lot of people getting on base, and they didn't stay on base for long. And I have to say, Nova did a pretty good job. Like, we didn't score any runs, so that was the problem. But he himself pitched a good game. If only we could have supported him and helped him out. Because I wrote down, like, his stats there. He pitched 7 innings. He gave up 8 hits. I could be wrong on that, but I think it was 8 hits. He gave up the 2 earned runs, 1 walk, and I think 5 strikeouts, which I thought was good. I was like, good job, Nova. And I don't know, he just seems like a pretty dependable starter of ours, so I don't know. I said this to my parents. I was like, I think he did good. And my parents were just like, okay, yeah, if we nod, maybe she'll stop saying that. I was proud of Nova, that's all. Um, and then, of course, when did they take him out? So he pitched 7 innings. So then in the 8th inning, we had this other guy come in, and that's when it started going south. I mean, we were already losing 2-0, and this guy gave up 2 more runs. So of course we were all booing him like crazy. And even before that point, there had already been a chant starting like bring Mo in, Mo or whatever. So after a while, this guy only had like 1 out, and I think he had just walked somebody or something. We knew that Mo was coming in because everybody near the bullpen was making noise, and of course everybody else in the stadium is like, "Oh, what's going on? Is it Mo?" Literally at that point, everybody was like, "Oh, Mo's probably gonna come in." Like literally, no one was paying attention to the game. It was like tunnel vision. It really was, because then we were chanting, and I felt kind of bad for like everybody else, but I'm like, it's Mo, so I don't feel that bad. Sorry. So then of course he came in, Enter Sandman. It's a rocking song, by the way. You should just listen to it. It's by Metallica. My dad loves Metallica too, though, so he like fanboyed the other day when they performed it live for him. So just trivia for you. What else? So he came in, and I mean, he got 2 outs, like boom, boom, like it was just amazing. And I remember like watching him get the last out, and I was like cheering, and I'm just like, just makes it look so easy. Like, what are we gonna do without him next year? I can't even fathom it at this point in time. Maybe in a couple months, because I know we have this guy that we're kind of saying, okay, he's gonna be our closer, and he actually came in, later in the game. But it's just at this point, it's like impossible to imagine. You know what I mean? Um. So yeah, he just got those outs like boom, boom, so fast. Um. But then I want to say right before that, like right after we came in the dugout, or maybe it was the next inning, everybody was chanting Andy because Andy Pettit was retiring too, and I feel like they did so much for Mo, and it's great because he deserves all of it, and he's just that nice of a guy. Because not only was he a great player, he's so humble, and he always is like, I want to thank God, and he's just and he visited all these people like behind the scenes at all these ballparks this year. So he's a fantastic guy basically, and I'm really glad that he was on the Yankees. That's the great thing about the Yankees. I feel like we get the best players, or we just like breed the best players. Like the best qualities come out of them. You know what I mean? I'm getting a little emotional right now talking about this, and so yeah, and then at one point, of course, we were all chanting Andy, Andy. So he came out, tipped his cap, which was nice because I've been watching him for as long as I can remember. So, and he looks like my dad too. Maybe I'll show you guys. I'll like find a picture of my dad and him and like put it side by side. But that's what my dad always says. Like when we would watch games when I was younger, he would have his Yankee hat on and he would like put something up to it because that's what Andy does. Like he'll have his glove like this, so all you can see is his eyes. And so my dad, like, they literally look very similar. It's the funniest thing ever. And so it was good to salute Andy too. And then let's see what else. So, I know we came up to bat, we didn't do anything. We got some hits here and there, but we literally, I think we had 3 hits the entire night. I kid you not. And they had a home run the other. Oh, and then at one point, here's what happened. I think it was in the 8th. The other guy, he gave up a home run, and I'm sitting over here. It was in this section over here that the ball landed. And of course, the thing at Yankee Stadium, I'm sure they do it at other stadiums. So if it's the other team, we were all like, throw it back, throw it back, throw it back. And after doing that for like a little bit, the person wasn't doing it, and it was like, okay, all right. And of course we can see the cop that was off to the side come over to stand right by this guy, because you could tell he was getting harassed by the people like sitting closer to him. They were the ones that were like in his face going, throw it back, whatever. And the cop was right there because you're not supposed to throw anything on the field technically. But I've been in games where if you're quick enough, if you catch the ball and if you're quick enough, you're like, I don't want this, and you throw it back, like they're not going to do anything about it. But at that point, it was too late. They knew who he was. Like, he wasn't going to throw the ball back. They were right there. And I think it went on for a little longer. And I hear them over there again yelling at him, throw it back. It's like, we're like, no. Can you not? And this was during when this pitcher was giving up more runs to the Rays. I was like, we have bigger problems than him not throwing back a ball. Can you please not do that? That'd be great. Like, I was like, calm down over there. And then of course they were doing like, asshole. I'm like, really, guys? Really? Way to keep it really classy, though. It was mildly amusing though for my family and I. I mean, I was chanting throw it back," but I wasn't like taking it the extra step and saying the other thing. Um, but yeah, a lot of people were there for Mo. That was like their focus. Like everybody was just paying like that's what I'm saying. Like throughout the game, like Mo, Mo, Mo. Well, not that kind of chant, but whatever. And then so he did the 2 outs in the 8th, and then he came in came back in the 9th, and he did 2 outs, and of course we're like, okay, here comes this last one, but then the moment when your tear ducts exploded. You see 2 guys coming out of the dugout, and it's not Joe, so I'm like, okay. And I look close enough, and I can see from, like, how far away I was. I can tell by, like, their postures, kind of. I'm like, oh, that's Jeter and Andy. And for those of you that don't know, there was this thing called the core. There were these guys called the core four. They all kind of came up from the minors together. They played together all these years. They're like, what's the term for it? They're the only teammates in the history of sports that have like played together for that long, or I don't know like the official statistic for it, but there's something important for it. That's why they're the core four, and it's Andy Pettit, Mariano Rivera, Derek Jeter, as you guys may have heard of that guy, I don't know, and Jorge Posada, who he retired.
Yanks lead 3-0.
Okay. And so those dudes are retired. Oh, I'm sorry. So now it's Derek Jeter, and that makes me upset. No. So now Derek's the only one. But so of course, to see the two of them say like taking him out of the game was just really like very fitting, and I'm glad that Joe did that. It kind of just came to Joe being Joe Girardi, the manager. Sorry, we're on a first name basis, you know, BFFs, whatever. Um, so I think it's a really great thing that he did. And the funny thing is, his manager, or Joe, our manager, also caught Mariano when he was a pitcher because when Joe Girardi was manager, um, when he was a player, he was catching for Mo. Like, it's like full circle. It's amazing to me. This is why I love the Yankees, because there's just so much history, and it's so much like good history and just good stuff. Um, and at that point, that was when I was like, I wasn't sobbing, but as soon as I saw them walk out and they're both like, and you know, we can see it on the big screen now, they're both just like, hey buddy, how's it going? You know, like it's not his last game ever. They're like, hey, how you doing, man? And they come out and, as soon as I saw Mo hug Andy, you could tell he was crying and like shaking, because you could just see from that far away, and even when I'm looking up there, he was like, I could just tell, and you could tell Andy was like, buddy, just like, I know. And that's when I was crying. And then, of course, he hugs Jeter, and, you know, we're all screaming, making an insane amount of noise. That was the thing. As soon as Mo came into the game, I've never heard so much noise, felt so much energy in that stadium in all the games I've been to, and it was amazing, and that was my favorite part of this game. Just so much energy. It was like being at a concert almost. For those of you that go to concerts, it was kind of like that raw energy. Only I didn't lose my voice, which is good. I thought I was going to at one point, because between like screaming and cheering for Mo, and then I'm screaming at the actual baseball players that weren't playing well, but let's put that aside. So, but it was fantastic. Like, it just was so loud in the stadium. Every time he made an out, it was like we were in the World Series and we were getting closer to winning Game 7 of the World Series, honestly. It was just like goosebump inducing. Could not stop smiling, had tears in my eye. It was just a lot of emotions. And I can't even imagine, I know, if that's me, I can't even imagine how Mo or even Andy felt about the whole night. So it was just a fantastic night. I'm really glad I was there to experience it. Um, but yeah, so they took him out, and you know, he's acknowledging the crowd. We're all going nuts. And he goes back in. We bring in another pitcher. I think he got us out of that half inning pretty quickly. We came up in the bottom of the ninth. We didn't do anything. 1, 2, 3 outs. So we lost the game. And you know, they're playing New York, and I'm pretty sure like no one left at that point. Once the game was done, I'm pretty sure everybody just stayed in their seats. I might have seen a couple people sneak away, but for the most part, everybody stayed where they were, because they're like, it's the last game. Mo, Andy, no, they're like, we want more. We're demanding, if anything, here in New York. I mean, the guy that gave up the runs at the end of the game, like right before Mo came in, we were booing him like nobody's business. Oh, we were rough. I heard people going, "You suck," you know. It was just, the stereotype about New Yorkers. Part of that is true. We get a little intense. So, you know, and of course, everybody else, all the other hell, his teammates are filing out of the dugout. The Rays players are leaving. But we did see at one point a Rays player took dirt from the stadium, which I thought was really cool. If I was on the opposing team, I would do that probably. I'd be like, heck yeah, I want some dirt from Yankee Stadium when Mariano Rivera's pitching. Heck yeah. So I thought that was really cool. And then what happens is Mo's just sitting there. You can tell he's kind of having a moment to be like, wow, okay, this is happening right now. That's what I would be saying to myself. So he sits there and, he gets up. And of course, they have a camera on him. So once we see the camera on him, we're all screaming, going nuts again. And he comes out of the dugout. He goes up to the mound, going nuts still. He's just kind of like kicking around. Like, he was probably just standing up there just to be like, okay, I'm going to stand up here one more time. He's kicking. And then just spur of the moment, you can tell he reaches down and just grabs some dirt, cups it in his hand, and he's walking back to the dugout. Because if he had planned that, he would have had like a bag with him or something. So you can tell he was just kind of like, you know what, I'm gonna take some dirt. So he just grabbed it, and I was crying again at that point. Um, and then he got interviewed, of course, by what's her face on the Yes Network. And of course, I'm pretty sure I didn't hear any of that interview, basically, when I was sitting there in the stadium. Luckily, I saw, my dad taped, like, the entire recap of it this morning, because they, like, replayed the whole thing. So I rewatched it, and I actually heard what was being said, because honestly, everybody was being so loud and screaming that I did not hear any of the interview. So it was fantastic. I love the Yankees. Um, I think that's it. So one of those days where I'm really happy to be a Yankee fan. I know a lot of people give us crap because they're like, oh, they're so conceited. They think they're the best. It's like, honestly, am I a little upset we lost? Yes. But I just rambled about everything else besides losing. I mean, I talked about losing, but there was so much more positive than negative about that. And that's what I take away. And I've got to say, that's probably the best game I've been to so far in my life. Definitely. In my life, as of right now, because I'm sure there's more to come. When you're a Yankee fan, there's more to come, always. Sassy snapping. I just ruined it. I just ruined the quality of this video. I'm sorry. But yeah, so baseball, man. Actually, should I grab my hat and I'll put it on there for you? It'll be like a very ceremonial thing. Hold on a second. Here it is. Here's my hat. I don't know if you guys have seen my Yankee hat, actually. Maybe you have. See, my pink one? Let's see, where's the first one? My first one is right here. It says Old Timers Day. The date is July 10th, 2004. So there you go. I've been going to Yankee games it'll be 10 years next year. And then I have a 100th anniversary one that says the Yankees 100th anniversary, 1903 to 2003. I know. And then some of these I got because I became a member of their fan club back when I was like 13. And then that one just says 39 American League championships. And then this one we didn't know we were getting this one when we went to a game one time. It just says over 4 million, thanks to the greatest fans in the world. They gave it to us as we were coming into the stadium because, they had reached over 4 million in attendance, which is a big deal. Because, I mean, it's expensive to go there. I'm not going to lie to you. So it's a pretty big deal. I mean, that's the thing about the Yankees. Like, yeah, it's expensive, but yet they get people to come. Like, it's a Yankee game. You go. I mean, it was a sellout last night. But the thing is, even for a regular, normal game, they still get pretty good amount of people to come. Like, regardless. You know what I mean? Here you go. Where should I put it? Should I put it over there? Or, yeah, I think I'm just going to put it right there for now. If I can poke it through. Hold on. It's a process here. There we go. Hold on, I need to find the back for it. So yeah, now you know that I kind of unofficially collect pins for my hat. Ta-da! It looks beautiful. There we go. On that note, I'm going to part ways and unwind for the night. I'll probably watch tonight. I haven't watched tonight's Yankee game yet, so I will do that. Till next time, thank you for watching, and go Yankees. Bye.